What's going on, good people? It is, I don't know what time it is, 9 o'clock on Monday. I'm exhausted after an incredibly busy week last week that included me being able to share my passion and vision for my future, the future of NBJC, with potential grant funders and a community of educators doing amazing things. Shout out to Ed Locke and my friend Sharonda and Lila and the leadership there. I had to return back into being ED of an organization and a student. I'm super thankful that this is my last semester of coursework. Oh, there's a God. But want to acknowledge that this has not been easy. And so I decided to record this video to share the reflection that I just shared with my professor, Juan Battle. I'm just walking to a quieter place so that this is audible. And what I shared is this, that like the process of learning is incredibly difficult. I say often that the Latin root of the word education is educare. It means to draw out a process that in any way, shape, or form cannot be an easy thing to do. And it's just sometimes a process of having to commit yourself to something, to taking chances, to failing, sometimes failing often and greatly, and just figuring stuff out. And I've been a student for a long time now. Been an educator, a teacher. I've been on both sides of this. And this semester in particular, I signed up for this qualitative analysis course to sharpen my research skills. I find myself saying often, for those who don't know, that the process of obtaining a PhD is one that is best suited for people who want to engage in the process of research using data and established methods and codified procedures to be able to answer questions in systemic and in ways that are replicable, not necessarily engaging in conversations with people and responding based on what you think you heard. That's the job of a journalist. It's important, but it's separate and apart from what's often done in these spaces. And at the beginning of this semester, in spite of having taken and actually gotten really good grades in quantitative analysis courses before, it was still anxiety provoking. The thought of sitting down and having to do homework, having to work in groups to accomplish the homework as a part of this process was daunting, and it was anxiety provoking. And I did what most students do when they feel that way, which is put it off. Thankful for growth. I relied upon my classmates. I'll come back to this at some point, but the cohort process at the CUNY Graduate Center is completely different than that at my home institution of Columbia. And I'm thankful for the support of a cohort of students who actually support each other. Again, more on that later. But the point here is that Sunday, after being really exhausted, I took a nap. I got up to work on a paper that was due today. So that you all have context, today's Monday. I have 2 classes today. And in my first class, Black Sociology, I was responsible for a presentation that involved a whole lot of stuff that I may or may not talk about in a public space because trauma. I had a paper that was due, a paper that we've been working on, summative paper, and a letter that was my indication of responding to the feedback that classmates had provided on that paper. And in the second course, I had another paper, a term paper that we're working on that was shared today for feedback from classmates in a similar process, and a homework assignment that actually just did not get completed because life. And the paper for my quantitative analysis course took me from 3 o'clock on Sunday until 6 o'clock this morning to complete, to have a full draft. I had a couple of meetings this morning, worked on checking my references and making sure that I had a complete draft, put my best foot forward. And then I hit send, I had save and then send on the paper. And while there are still a couple of questions that I have, one that I just worked through with my professor, appreciate educators who show up and do the work even off the clock. That's what educators do. I feel really good and that I'm no longer anxious about the process. I know that I know more than the vast majority of people in the world, and even some researchers who've been trained to do this kind of stuff, but still not enough to be dangerous in the way that I like to be. And so I'll continue. I'm taking an independent study course with Juan Battle next semester, just to sharpen it and make sure that my dissertation is as tight as it can be. And the point of all of this is that you just have to continue to do the work, period. Sometimes there's no quick fix or explanation or process for acquiring knowledge that you don't have, other than the sit in the messy ass process of just figuring it out. Being comfortable asking for help when you need it, giving yourself grace when you just don't know shit that you don't know, being comfortable making mistakes and just figuring it out. And I'm thankful for the reminder that that process is one that doesn't go away as long as you commit to learning new things. So I hope this helps somebody else. As I will continue to reflect upon this, as it will invariably show up in my own pedagogy over the course of my lifetime. I thank God that soon I will not be a student formally in this way. I cannot imagine myself signing up for another degree after this one, especially after my third tour duty at Columbia. But stranger things have happened, so don't quote me on that. Have a good week.